Happy Thursday, my recruits. This is your drill sergeant coming at you with a recap of week 7, where some of you might have been questioning whether this boot camp situation is going to make you want to drop out of the forensics class. But have no fear. I am here to get you safely through boot camp and keep encouraging you to stick with me. Yeah, we are on our journey through my rap song or the drill song, which is going to step by step us through what it is that I want to accomplish to prepare you forensic soldiers for the battle ahead in our quest to use science to fight crime. And with that, we had our first case where we followed FBI agents, and you were to come on Monday ready to present um, your persuasive argument in the form of a closing argument before a jury of your peers about what happened to Ruby and where she was for the month that she was missing. That was the mission. We then uh, had our forensics court, and I, as Judge Rosilli, called you up to persuade. And in true court fashion, there were different conclusions, and you guys did a great job of stepping forward and presenting those conclusions to the class. Then I took all of the lawyers that presented their closing arguments outside, leaving those that were not in front of the class to then discuss, choosing a foreman among them foreperson, who would then organize the discussion, wrestle over the different conclusions, and determine and vote on what was their verdict. You guys did a good job of that. We all came back in, and to the delight of some and the chagrin of others, the verdict was that Ruby Morris had been abducted by aliens. Um, the reason why I keep using this courtroom metaphor is because it fits within what we saw was our definition of forensics, was using science in trying to determine whether a law has been broken, but we're operating within a criminal justice system. So I wanted us to start playing around with this idea of what the justice system looks like, because if we are operating and doing this within a justice system, we need to make sure that we are following the rules, following the criteria, all of the things that come with being in that criminal justice system world in determining if a crime has been committed or not. I had you guys do the post-verdict interview questions about that, and we had a discussion. We talked about the big ideas right now, which is the struggle is real, knowing your forensic rap, making sure that you have that in your mind, and continuing on this idea of how important it is to define terms. And so if you're recalling way back at the beginning, we defined crime, we defined fight, what kind of fight based on what ManTracker said we'll be doing. And now the big question that's going to take a little bit more time to wrestle with is what is science? Tried to encourage you guys that even though you're wrestling and this is a struggling right now, you have to trust me as your drill sergeant that this is helping you become more of an independent learner. So for those that were um, not happy with not having an answer, how are you going to get confident and strong in figuring out answers to questions that you will have while you're now in what some would rightfully argue, boot camp? High school is kind of like boot camp for being an adult, getting you ready for the challenges ahead. That you're moving from childlike learning to taking charge of your own learning that we have here. Um, I found this comic. Love the Zitz comic because the son in this case reminds me so much of real situations um, that I have been in with my students over my years as a teacher. But yeah, if you're not used to solving things for yourself and always being given the answer, this is going to be a little bit of a wrestle. And as the drill sergeant, I'm more than happy to put up with any angstiness and struggles because at the end of the day, I know that it's good medicine. The struggle is real. We're preparing now for it. Again, a fun little video there. Preparing for adulthood isn't just about learning how to fold your laundry, learning how to deal with money, all those practical things that are important. But what's most important is how to think and apply that thinking to situations that you will encounter. Iron rusts from disuse, water loses its purity from stagnation. Even so does inaction sap the vigor of the mind, says that great Italian artist, Leonardo da Vinci. And if only when we would get stronger in our mind, we would see we could see some kind of physical example of that, because I believe we live in such a visual oriented society right now um, that unfortunately, because I believe some, if not most, of the most valuable things are unseen, but we get motivated and move towards things that we see we're making progress towards, either the accumulation of money or getting bigger by being in a weight room. And how much more seriously I muse would people take learning and wrestling and thinking if by doing that somehow physiologically it made our bodies bigger and stronger. We know that that's not the case, but we have the Word of God that tells us to keep our minds on what is true and what is good. And with that encouragement, with that knowledge, with that wisdom to listen to what God says in His Word, we can get past not only going after things that we can see or the physical things, but know that the most important things are those things that are unseen. And God says this is what will help us in life, especially when we're going after what is good, what is beautiful, and what is true. There were the post-verdict interview questions then on Wednesday that we discussed, because you were supposed to have answered those on Monday as for your homework on Monday. And we came to the conclusion that um, the the answer to those, it's going to be difficult to come up with answers or be satisfied with those answers if we don't um, have answers to these questions. And the very first question there is there a standard definition out there of science? And what does one's worldview have to do with understanding what science is? Um, well, again, with our definition of the application of science to those civil and criminal laws that are enforced by police agencies in a criminal justice system, we then saw that maybe had some understanding of why I gave these pre-case questions to you. And I asked you guys, what's your definition of science? Um, Again, in boot camp, you don't have certain resources with you. You have to come up with everything. You have to find that inner strength. So I was hoping that you guys would wrestle with coming up based on your knowledge so far of what you thought science is. And we got some of you guys giving your responses and didn't spend a lot of time on this, but I'm I have found over the years that everybody's definitions are a little bit different, and we need to come up with a universal definition that's going that we all can work with and we all can then use um, to fulfill that use of science to whoop up on bad guys. Um, you still might be wondering, well, what does this have to do with our presumptions or our worldview? We're going to get to that, but a lot of you were very sensitive to and came up with some good responses for what you thought Agent Mully, Mulder Scully, Agent Scully's worldview is, what her belief systems might be, and what Agent Mulder's were. And then we had a nice discussion on whether you thought Scully or Mulder would made a better scientist or better investigator. So that got us then to, all right, what is this science? Quit playing around. But I'm hoping you're seeing we're not playing around. All the things that I'm asking you to do are going to come into play and all make sense as we get through this boot camp. But this led me into talking about the importance of defining terms. We played around with this idea of what is junk. We then watched this video, this cringy video of these guys singing about science. Listen to the words of this, even though it's cringy, and see what if these guys, based on what they are singing about science, were to come up with a definition, what do you think they would say? But at the end of the day, it didn't really, as trendy and as goofy as it was. And I believe these guys are science teachers, and so I think they were trying to motivate their students to like science. It really was very superficial and didn't get us, it gave us a lot of images or maybe some things that using science uh, we have accomplished, but it didn't really get to the heart of what is science. And with that, we were still left then going, oh, man, how is this going to be possible to come up with this? Somebody just tell me. I don't like all of this wrestling, um, all this confusion, because maybe you've heard different ideas, or maybe the definitions that you have gotten in the past you don't agree with. Well, that's where the National Academy of Science has come in to rescue us. This is a definition by the National Academy of Science, and we're saying to ourselves, who better to know what science is than this, this academy that's nationally recognized? It's an academy, and usually when you use the word academy, you have an association that there's smart people or it's an elevated um, institute of learning, and it's an academy of science. But after watching our video of a brother who was trying to encourage his other brother to drink his hot Kool-Aid, we recognize that, okay, this National Academy of Science has given us this definition, but if we're going to use science to fight crime, if knowing what science is important enough, maybe it's something that I need to check out before just jumping on board. And with that, we said, okay, I am so thankful, National Academy of Science, that you have come up with a definition, but in good critical thinking fashion, I want to look at it rather than just blindly accepting it from you. And that got us into a goofy video where some educational systems are not happy or get a little angsty if you ask questions like this, or if you're not just going to agree with something that they've given you. Um, and so we are going to be looking at this in a critical way to analyze whether I think this is a solid definition. And some of you perhaps were thinking, how the heck, we can't taste it like warm Kool-Aid. How the heck are we going to do this? Well, I have come up with an activity that will explore the if this is a good definition or not. And it's called Build Me an Animal Activity. And that is what awaits us on Monday. So I know that some of you missed class during the week. Hopefully you have your plan and person to contact who can help you see how we made progress filling in things on our table of content and setting up our investigation notebook where the different work went. Um, Make sure that you apply that plan and you get everything caught up that you need to on Monday. But other than that, there really is no homework other than me just encouraging you to continue to explore your world, continue diving in and learning about something that you already are pursuing. I know some people shared with me about a book that they're enjoying right now. So maybe write down some thoughts about that book. Maybe you did something or going to do something this weekend that you've never done before. Write about your experience with that. So continue to explore your world in ways that help you grow and help you see all of the good, beautiful, true things that are out there. And I will see you then on Monday. Have a great weekend. Go Squad. Go Squad. Go.